The failure of Silicon Valley Bank has become the latest target for conservatives in their mounting campaign against ESG. The acronym refers to a form of investing that considers environmental, social, and governance factors. It's a woke score. It's not even a proper form of investing. I do not care when I go to a bank about the heritage, the pedigree, the genetical makeup, the sexual orientation of my financial advisors. I care if my financial advisor can financially advise, period. That's it, right? But now you have this ideology which is saying, no, we need to look at the pedigree, the heritage, the genetics. We need to look at the sexuality of people. So obviously, that's not very right-wing thinking. That's not very American, I would say, because obviously promoting people based on pedigree and heritage is not very liberal. But there you have it, right? It's an ideology that's being pushed, which decides how entertainment should be done. Like, every single piece of art and entertainment needs to have a checkbox to, yet again, analyze the genetical makeup of the actors and the characters. So it is inherently left-leaning. And then you have the diversity officers, which are the apparatchiks. Like, they are promoting left-leaning ideology in every company, and they are exorcising right-wingers. I mean, you look at Marvel, you look at DC Comics, you notice the people that are being pushed out. Like, for example, Gina Carano. Like, Gina Carano was pushed out by Disney, which is a left-leaning, progressive, woke company that wants to empower women and give them a voice, but not for Gina Carano, because she had too much of a voice. She had a little bit too much to think. So, yes, right-wingers do feel attacked by this particular ideology, and it makes sense that when a bank, which is trying to shape the culture of a nation without using the democratic way, and without using votes, without getting elected into power, it's using its influence in order to try to push for change in culture. Yeah, it makes sense that the people who are opposing that culture would be happy when it goes bankrupt. It makes sense that if you would have like a Christian bank that would dedicate its time to spread Christian values, and when it went bankrupt, then people who are atheists, people who are not Christians would celebrate that. I don't understand where is the controversy. I mean, again, imagine if you have like this Christian bank which starts investing based on how Christian a company is. So, like, how many times do their employee pray per day? How many times do they mention Jesus in their advertisements? How many priests do they employ at the company? Do they have at least one bishop? Now, you may say, well, what does that have to do with investing? Nothing. But if you had such a bank that only wanted to invest in Christian companies, then I would understand why people who happen to be atheists would be happy when this bank bankrupts. Because people would look at this way and they would say, well, this is not how you do finances. Jesus Christ said, give to Caesar what's on to Caesar. Like, this thing about money shouldn't be involved in religion, because you're going to end up making bad investments. Like, you can have a company which is very religious, very Christian, but it's very poor at managing people's wealth. And if you keep investing in those types of companies, well, you're going to go the way of Silicon Valley Bank. But anyway, right, apparently leftists just do not understand this and are completely bewildered and baffled why right-wingers are cheering. And you get this type of tweets. Silicon Valley Bank to Kansas Farmer Bank. Replace tech startup with farmers, replace MBS with farm loans. And do you feel different? If you are calling for let them fail, are you now screaming save them or vice versa? So basically, this person is talking about the fact that there is a bias, right? Like, right-wingers care more about farmers than they care about tech companies. Now, I have seen many people in the comment section pointing out that, well, I can live in a world without tech companies, but I can't live in a world without farmers. So yes, like, farmers are de facto more important on the social scale than tech companies. Now, this guy comes up and says, yeah, but like, what about the tractor, right? Because like the tractor that farmers use is very sophisticated, and without this level of technology, we wouldn't have modern farming. It's like, okay, first of all, the modern tractor already exists, right? Like, you do not need more tech startups in order to maintain the current state of things, which is sufficient. But secondly, have you looked at some of the new tractors that they're making? Like, first of all, there are farmers which still prefer to buy tractors from the 70s or the 80s because they can repair them. The new tractors that are being made are irreparable unless you have access to one of their specialized shops, because they look like a fucking spaceship nowadays, and you need to have access to a special computer that has the correct software in order to repair your tractor, right? So like this is the new innovation in technology. Now you can't repair it yourself. Now you need to pay money. I mean, I have seen even tractors that have a subscription fee. And if you don't pay the subscription fee, you lose access to features. And then, when you look at what this bank was doing, the whole ESG bullshit, like, for example, here in Europe, they want to take away gas-powered vehicles. And I think, like, they want to do the same in California, right? So, like, they're trying to make my life worse. They're trying to take away my car. They're trying to give me more taxes. Like, they are... I have not heard a single environmentalist saying one thing that would make my life better. Just one. No, literally every single time, how to make my life worse, and at the same time, they don't talk about the rich, right? Like, you look at all these people going to COP20, going to Greta Thunberg symposiums or whatever the fuck, they take a private jet, they take a private yacht. There is no fucking way that in my entire lifetime, if you put all of my family together, there is no way we would manage to pollute even half as much as these rich people pollute. And yet, for some reason, every single time you have like these ESG parrots, all they do is lecture about the little guy. Like, how about we see some change from the leadership first, right? Because they're supposed to lead the way, right? So, like, why don't they do the changes first? But, you know, this is just bad PR. But I am trying to say the fact, like, this is why right-wingers do not enjoy this thing with ESG. And this is why they like farmers more. And this is, yes, there is definitely a bias, and it's a good thing. The farmers aren't trying to censor me on internet. The tech companies do. The tech company which are developing AI in order to figure out how to censor more. Like, there is a booming industry of censorship. Right? Like, the farmers aren't trying to take out my car. They're not trying to make me poor. The tech companies are doing that. You know, like, trying to figure out, like, okay, let's design an even more expensive car that only the rich can afford. Let's figure out how we can feed crickets to people. So, yeah, like, when you're actively doing damage to random blokes, of course, you know, the blokes who are paying attention and they're realizing where the damage is coming from, they're going to be like, oh, well, you know, that bank went bankrupt. Do not bail them out. Do not bail them out. Of course, they're going to get bailed out, right? You're not going to get bailed out if your business ends up failing, right? Like, that's fine, right? But, like, if someone has a bank, then they get bailed out, right? Like, this is capitalism. Like, this is what the left calls capitalism. So, when the rich end up going bankrupt, oh, well, they get socialism, right? Like, they get to share the wealth. They get the reset button. So they share the wealth from the poor, from the working class, from the farmer, who pays his taxes, and then that money goes to bail the rich out. But when the farmer ends up being broke because, you know, the government maybe shuts down his business due to a pandemic or some shit like that, oh, that's fine. That's progressive, you know, that's his responsibility. No one cares. Give him like a $500 stimulus check and that's it. So yeah, of course people are upset. Meb Faber. Yes, people are definitely upset. And absolutely, if it was about farmers, I would have been here and I would say, what a tragedy. But it's not about farmers. So, like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to cry? Like, let's be honest. You know, like, you're pretending that there should be no bias. Of course there should be a bias. You made this cultural. Not you, the bank. They made it cultural. They made it ideological. Right? Like, they did their best in order to try and make it as divisive as possible. Like, they realized, all right, so people aren't voting for environmentalism in the United States. Like, they're not voting for these policies. So let's try to push them through the back door. Let's try to see if we cannot get the private sector to push for them. And when the private sector gets fucked, they're like, oh, well, why are people so happy about it? Well, they're happy about it because they do not support these policies. If they did support these policies, they would have all voted for AOC as president. And the Green New Deal would have passed. Just like it passed in the European Union. At least in the European Union, you can say that, yeah, people do support this shit. Until it's going to actually affect their standard of living. When it affects their standard of living, they're going to blame Putin. And when they are not going to be able to blame Putin anymore, then people are going to go like, okay, well, maybe this environmentalism thing isn't really that good. It's not working out that well. But anyway, right, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.